Paul, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I have to say I was so tempted this morning to pour myself a glass of Pinot.
Oh,
And I was like, well,
a
it's
little early, isn't
too
it? Or is
early.
it?
That was my thought. I was like,
There
it's
you
too
go.
early in the morning. Interview could go sideways.
That's true. It could. You don't necessarily want. I mean, God bless you, but it might be a little early.
Yes, I opted for coffee.
Oh,
So
good. There you
it's like, listen, I was at the Television Academy yesterday
go.
and got to see you and Charlie on stage together.
Oh.
The love that you have for each other is is so beautiful to watch. Like,
He's a lovely guy. I really like him. He's a
I,
really, really lovely guy. He's very funny. He's very smart, and yeah, he's a lovely guy. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Glad you could feel that. That's nice.
yeah. Well, it felt like to me, I mean, this just felt like it must have been a bucket list project for you to do.
It was. I'm a big fan of the show, and so I was always sort of thinking, God, it'd be great if one of those came along. But I sort of thought, probably never come along. But it did, and it definitely was something that like check off. So yeah, I'm glad I got to do that.
You said that the character popped off the page for you.
Hmm.
Right.
Oh, for sure. No, the thing is really, really well written, and it was like when you read something and you just keep flipping the pages and you get moved by it by the end. I mean, that's like you can't say no to something like that. It was beautifully written and beautifully sort of orchestrated, and just a great piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious what you added to it because I know like in other roles you've got your ring or you've got
Oh.
to grow a mustache. So was there something in particular that you wanted to give?
That's interesting. To give this guy? That's interesting. You're right. I usually do have something like that. No, actually, I didn't think of anything like that. There was a way that I kind of thought, I don't need to do much with this. I'm going to try to do as little as possible, as little hammy acting as possible, and just let the thing play itself out. It's interesting you say that. I think I actually consciously just wanted to not do a whole lot of stuff like I usually do. I just wanted to let the thing play itself out.
He's so beautifully flawed. I mean,
Awesome. Good. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a great way of putting it. I'm glad to hear that. Good. Thanks.
you really feel what he's going through. You do a very good
Awesome.
job, obviously, with all of your characters. I feel like
Thanks.
that is that is very you. Was there something in this character? Did you get to flex a muscle in this role that you haven't yet?
Well, I mean, he actually gets more emotional than most of the guys I have to play. Most of the guys are more emotionally constipated that I've played in this sort of realm, but this guy actually kind of lets it go more. Um, but I think the fact that I never stopped talking, it's not a monologue because I'm talking to somebody else. It was a kind of big stamina bite. It was just a kind of, I had to kind of the being alone in the room was sort of challenging, even though she was there. I was very kind of like conscious of being it's just me on this thing, and that was sort of challenging. Yeah.
Well, and his is a cautionary tale. What parts of him did you relate to? And was there any part of you that you wanted to jump in and give him advice on?
Well, I mean, the whole thing would be like, calm down and dude, it's just like relax. But I feel like I would say that to myself in the past too. That's what I mean. I feel like I didn't have to do a whole lot of stuff because I felt like I related to the whole thing. It feels like a very universal character. It feels like a very archetypal experience that he has and and the guilt and the regret and all of this looking back into the past. I'm the age the guy is supposed to be, and so I related to all of it. I mean, I've had all kinds of regrettable relationships and things I don't feel good about and things I didn't handle well. And so, like I say, I didn't have to do much because I think I did relate to it, but hopefully everybody kind of can. I think, even though he's this very specific guy in a time and place and he did what he did, I feel like it's hopefully universally pretty relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild to me too, listening to what you were talking about yesterday, that you were using dancers and mimes
Uh huh.
in the actual parts where you're
Yeah.
speaking to the photograph. What is that like for you? getting to play in that, and then you're staring at somebody who's playing a younger version of yourself interacting
Yeah,
with them. Oh,
yeah, yeah. And I actually said when they were first doing it, and they told me it wasn't going to be digital. And I said, "So what are you going to do with me? How are you going to de-age me somehow? That'll be digital?" And they said, "No, we're going to find somebody that looks like you. Do you have photographs of yourself at 22?" So I gave them a bunch of them, and I thought, "You're never going to find somebody who looked like me. I mean, how are you going to do this?" And they brought two guys in. One was okay, and the other guy came in, and it was really bizarre because he looks like cousins of mine, especially around the eyes and stuff. They didn't have to do anything to him really to make him look like. And he really, if you saw pictures of me at 22, he really looked like me. He was a terrific actor too, because he was very expressive, just holding still with his body and his face. And so was Hazel, the woman who plays Carol. But it was great to have all those people there, because to have real flesh and blood people there made a difference, and you really felt like you were acting with them. And everybody'd hold still and they'd call cut, and everybody would sort of breathe and start laughing, and everybody, because it was just this odd situation. So, but it felt very human and tactile, and everybody was relating, and it was really nice to have all those people there. And we got to rehearse with them, so they all felt like they were acting with me, even though they were still. It's really cool.
was there, I mean, apart from that moment, was there a moment on set when you were like, wow, this is really weird? Whether it was with the character or something like technologically that you were
For
thinking
sure, the
about?
first time we worked with those people was really weird, much weirder than I thought it was going to be. We rehearsed with them, and we were just in a room, rehearsal room, no set or anything. And that was genuinely really strange the first time we did it, much weirder than I thought it was going to be. The first time they did the 2D, 3D thing, I couldn't see it, and it took forever to get it because it was lights and angles. But the first time I saw that, because I was like, I don't understand. How's this going to work? I don't get it. How's it going to? I don't know how they did it, and nothing was digitalized, but it really looks like 2D to 3D. It was really cool.
Wow. That's very cool. I want to talk to you about working with two directors.
Hmm.
What an experience. Tell me
Yeah,
what you loved about it. What about it?
they were great, and they kind of they kind of passed the baton back and forth because they're real technical wizards, those guys. And they hadn't done anything sort of long form narrative like this with actors. So I think they were very keen to try to be as good as on top of helping us out acting wise as possible. And they sort of, one of them was a bit more the technical guy, and one of them was a bit more the guy who related to us, but they could both do that. And they were really nice guys, and they were super enthusiastic, and they were really psyched about finally being able to do something long form like this. And they were really excited to do their practical effects magic with us and stuff like that. But it didn't feel ever like the technical stuff was taking over. They were really fun, funny guys, and they were just loving doing the whole thing. And they had a real feel for the script and the story. And they were wonderful. Yeah. And it was kind of cool. I've worked with two people before and different things. And sometimes it doesn't work as great, but sometimes if they really know how to sort of fill in for each other, it can be really great actually, and you can sometimes feel like I don't want to talk to that guy right now, but I'll talk to that guy right now, and it's like it's funny. You can sort of have pick and choose yourself too, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, it's like choose your own adventure.
Yeah, a little bit. It's a little bit sometimes.
So there was the sideways effect, right? Where
Mhm.
the trend that started with the drop in Merlot sales.
Uh-huh.
I am curious your thoughts. If Philip were to start a trend, what do you think that one would be?
I, I don't know. He doesn't. He seems pretty. I mean, he's got such an analog life. I suppose he's one of these guys that could bring back some kind of. Was he going to bring back vinyl, something like that? I mean, he would only be bringing something back from the past. I don't know. Maybe he'd just make Eulogy popular. I don't know. He'd become the spokesman for Eulogy. Maybe he will become the spokesman for Eulogy. That'd be interesting, actually,
Right.
because it works for him.
Yeah.
It seems to work for him.
And the beauty of a physical photograph, like there was something really unique in that where, growing up, we had physical photographs.
Yeah,
All these
yeah,
days on digital, you could just delete, but you had the physicality of
yeah.
really crossing out someone's picture.
Yeah, no, and Charlie was talking about that, about how important, you know, you only had a few. He was saying you didn't have every single thing documented, so everything felt much more special. And then the things themselves are so evocative. Those Polaroids with the white border and the black background, and you know the kind of the feel of those things and the odd lighting and how they're imperfect a lot of the time too, and they fade and they're weird colors, and you know you have their timestamp thing on the back of them or whatever. You know, it's like they're objects that are super evocative. You know, so yeah, and I was not a big, I didn't save a lot of those things to my regret. I was saying yesterday my sister did. And so I still have yet to go through all of them, but yeah.
So I know you are a big fan of Black Mirror. If you could maybe write Philip into another episode, a crossover episode, or if there's another episode you would have liked to have seen yourself in.
Wow. White Bear. I'm going to have him like participating in the White Bear thing. I don't know. Maybe that. I'd want to. The San Junipero thing is very similar, so maybe you put him in that world, you know, something like that. Yeah. Or the Callister stuff would be fun for him on a spaceship. Would be interesting. Yeah.
I thought about that too. I was like,
Oh, you
well,
did? Yeah.
yeah. Yesterday, what with the episodes that we were looking at, I was like, where else could I see? What other world
Yeah.
could we
Well,
film?
he would fit into that common, the first one. What the hell, like common people. What's it
Comic.
called? I can never remember what it's called.
Yep.
Yeah, that world too. I mean, the ones that feel more kind of grounded, he would fit into, I think. Yeah.
I really like his arc in the story and how, I mean, you're just obviously you're known for these authentic characters that you create. I- Is there something that you feel like, I don't know, maybe you were learning alongside of him when you were doing it?
I mean, I always feel like I'm learning something every time I do something. I certainly learn more about acting when I do things. Um, yeah, I suppose so. I mean, he yeah, I mean, I certainly feel like I'm going through similar things that he goes through. You know, you let go of stuff and you move on and you try to just adjust and you feel more, maybe more comfortable in your life. I do think in the end it is a good thing for him to have sort of actually confronted this stuff and seen it for what it really was, and then also realize he has to move on. You know, so I guess everybody can learn that sort of thing as we go along. You know.
Yeah. Have you ever had a real life Black Mirror moment?
I feel like I have them all the time. I remember once losing my cell phone in the car and I couldn't find it. And all of a sudden having this weird feeling that maybe I never had a cell phone. Maybe all this is some weird, larger like simulation in which we have these weird phones. I couldn't find it in the car, and it started panicking me. But I've had all kinds of weird things like that. Do you know who Philip K. Dick is?
Mm.
He's a science fiction writer who you should read because I mean, it's a big influence on this stuff. But he's filmed with kind of weird moments like that.
I am a huge science fiction fan, so I'm down.
Yeah. Oh, you should read Philip K.
I'm into-
Dick. Yeah, you should definitely read Philip K. Dick. He's a big influence. I think I would think that Charlie would say that he's a big influence on it.
Yeah.
But he's constantly having these weird. Is it real? Is it not real? Is it a simulation? Is it
It's wild.
I've had those weird Mandela effect things. You know, like I'm still convinced that the Raisin Bran guy has dark glasses on, but apparently he doesn't. You know, I think it's the Raisin Bran guy who doesn't have dark glasses on. I have a lot of those things. You know?
Or the Monopoly Man with the monocle.
Right. And he
Yeah.
doesn't have a monocle. Yeah. Really strange. Those things are really, really weird.
It's really
There's a
weird.
bunch of those that are really strange.
Yeah.
So I have those which feel kind of Black Mirror in
Yeah.
some way. Yeah. Somebody's like changing the reality all the time. Yeah.
Totally. I certainly felt like that the last 5 years of like this is we're
Yeah, everything's starting to feel much weirder, much weirder. Yeah, and it's only going to get weirder, especially with the technology stuff. It's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder.
Did doing this kind of change your mind or open your eyes to anything?
How dangerous technology can be. I mean, no, I'm pretty. I see it as kind of menacing anyway. So I don't know that. But I hold out some hope that it could actually maybe move somewhere where it's going to be much more useful. And, I think it is in this episode, actually. I mean, as weird as the technology and the thing is, I actually think it does help the guy, and it is benign. What's bad about what's happening with this thing? Even though it forces the guy to relive something he doesn't want to relive, it's a good thing in the end, I think.
Paul, it was amazing spending this morning with you. It's
Likewise, thanks.
been such a pleasure. Thank you for hanging.
Thank you.
Hope to
Thanks.
see you again.
Bye.